Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we are going to have a quick look at Pop! OS. Is this just Ubuntu or is this something more? I know on the surface it can look just like Ubuntu. So we're going to have a little bit of look about what it is, how does it differ from Ubuntu, and let's go ahead and install it on a virtual box and just have a quick peek at it. So of course Pop! OS is the operating system that has been created by System 76. I do not have any affiliations with System 76, but definitely check out their computers down there. They have a lot of great functional Linux computers, good powerhouses, and sometimes you can get them for really good prices, and you can go all the way up to really expensive for really good stuff. So there's a lot of options. One of the great things is all of their things work very well, and they take extra steps of making sure that like the Intel management engine stuff's not there, isn't doing goofy things, all that kind of hardware-y and software-y on the micro level that I don't really know anything about, so I'm not going to say anything else. But anyway, Pop! OS is written by System 76. It is based on Ubuntu, so it does use the Gnome desktop as well. We're not going to hold that against them. As you guys know, if you follow my videos, I'm not a fan of Gnome, but we'll have a look at it and see what it looks like, and we're just going to go ahead and look at it from there. So you can head on over to system76.com/pop to learn about the operating system. Actually, I found there's really not much over here. The page pops. I mean, they got planets and moons and download buttons. Now, one of the great things about it is for people that are running NVIDIA, this is a great option if you're having trouble with some NVIDIA cards on Linux distributions. Give Pop a try because they have the Intel AMD graphics version and they have the NVIDIA graphics version. And also note, the NVIDIA does install proprietary NVIDIA drivers and it cannot be used on secure boot systems. So you want to disable secure boot or you want to use the other download. But the cool thing is they give you that option. So if you have been struggling with an Intel card and you're still looking for an operating system, take a look at Pop! OS because it is one of those ones that will support the NVIDIA drivers out of the box. So that will certainly save some headaches. So of course, they have some, just a lot of classy, design on their page. Here's your workspaces, which is fairly standard with GNOME, window snapping, keyboard navigations, and they have a Do Not Disturb mode. I think the Do Not Disturb mode might be unique to them. I don't know. I don't use GNOME enough to know for certain. All right, but anyway, that's just a little bit about the system. So there are a variety of applications installed. They are installing a different suite of applications than Ubuntu does. So there's just a variety of different things. Their website's pretty cool. I mean, it's not a bad site. Now, if you head on over to, this is pop.system76.com/docs/difference-between-pop-ubuntu. And this will give us the information about what really is the difference between these systems. And really what they've done is produce essentially an OEM install system, because that's exactly what they do. They build computers, they pre-install it. Unless you tell them otherwise, they're going to pre-install it with Pop. When you first get it, just like a Windows machine, you turn it on and it walks you through the rest of the setup process. That is an excellent thing, particularly for people if you're into, if you're into rebuilding hardware or you're into installing a computer, a system for a family member. That's a neat feature and option to have. They have, however, done a few other things. They've done some things that Ubuntu has not yet done, which makes it feel as complete as Windows. So they have this simple recovery, just like Windows has, without having to reflash on the drive. Now, for those of us in Linux, we don't care. We got drives and drives of distros laying around, so what's that mean to us? But for a person who's just buying a computer and getting into the system, this is a good thing. It's just like Windows has the ability to reboot from the recovery partition. They have a Do Not Disturb mode, which quiets notifications. They have a power profile picker. I think Linux Mint might have one of those. I know I've seen that on one of my systems. It's either Linux Mint or maybe Peppermint. I forget which one. But Ubuntu apparently does not. That is one of the new features they've added back in. So just again, like Windows, where you have maximum battery usage, a balanced, or you have battery saver modes. So if you're plugged in, and that's why I have my Surface laptop for, when I need that one. If it's on power, and just let that thing ramp up as much as you want, but on battery, I usually just keep it on the middle balance mode. They do have the NVIDIA options like we looked at earlier. They have pop artwork, okay, which I guess is okay for sure. I mean, after all, buy a mouse pad, They also have a few other applications that you may not find in the Ubuntu repository. I guess Spotify is not in there, I guess. Atom, and there's some other ones. They do have a USB flashing utility, which is cool. That's one of my favorite features of Linux Mint. And Grub Bootloader is replaced with Systemd Bootloader. I know some of you have just had a heart attack, but that's okay. Just come on, stay with me. So they have modified the GNOME shell. They call it the pop session. So it will have just basically refined style sheet. They've added a few different fonts. They have the suspend button, which always shows in the session menu instead of requiring extra buttons. So if you are a person that suspends your computer, you have that. So that's why I feel like it's much more. It's a much more complete operating system in many ways because of that, really. Let's see. Battery indicator improved to display accurate charge levels. I didn't know that was a problem, but apparently it is. So the included apps, we have the list of apps included. Basically, some of the things that you would expect, a lot of the GNOME tools. They have replaced Thunderbird with Geary. I have no idea why. I think Geary sucks. Thunderbird at least is functional. Geary only allows you to do SMTP, which I think we've gotten sloppy in how we manage our emails. We should not be relying on email servers unless you control that server. I think that's a sloppy choice, but that's okay. I think that's about it. They do have their own application store. And of course, they have their first use. They do tell you here that what is involved in the Ubuntu. So just to compare what's in there, so they've taken out Rhythmbox, Romana, Thunderbird, Shotwell, and the Amazon affiliate search link, and the GNOME games they've taken out on the installation. They also are not doing. They're not doing the data collection. I think they do collect a little bit. The fingerprint, I think, is what they do, but I can't remember for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and boot this guy up and see what happens. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the entire process of the installation. So you can see that it will install pretty quickly. Because it is that OEM install, it's going to install in two phases. The first phase is initially, and then what's going to happen is when we reboot the virtual machine, then we will kind of go into this setup mode. So here's what we have. So it's going to have us select a language and a region, keyboard, keyboard layout, and then we have a try demo mode, we have a clean install, and we have a custom. So we're going to do clean install, which is going to wipe the disk out and simply install this. So that's the option we're going to do. And then this will, just grabbing the hard drive. So you can, I guess it is encrypting by default, which is cool. We can, so we either have to choose the password or we have to hit select to do not encrypt. This is really cool. I'm not going to bother encrypting it. So I'll just go ahead and hit the no button there. And then it's going to kind of do its thing. So it's partitioning a drive, doing the files, and then when this is done, we'll come back and see what we get. Okay, so that took only about 3 minutes here, maybe 5, I don't know, about 3 or so. So there's a shutdown or there's a restart, we're just going to go ahead and shut down. So if you were to be installing this for somebody, what would happen is you would go ahead and just install the install the thing, and then hand it to the person, shut it all down, hand it to the person, and then now on the next boot up, so you can see it did kick the drive out, which is good. We're going to go ahead and restart it, and then it's going to walk us through another configuration screen once the system is ready to go. Okay, so we've started up. We have a welcome screen. It's filtering through the welcome languages. Go ahead and hit the next button. So now we want to pick out our keyboard input and layout. Location services default is on. I'm not sure I like that, but it's great that they give us the option to toggle that off. Select our region, so that is good. Now, if we want to connect any online accounts, we can go ahead and do that. We also can connect an email account there if we want to. We're going to skip in this case. Now we have to give us a name. So Pop OS is going to be our name. We have to choose our password. Okay, so it does warn us that it is a weak password, but it does allow us to proceed. So that's fine. So now we'll go ahead and start using Pop OS. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click on our username. You can see that we do not have any option for changing any environments or anything, so that's probably okay. And this is what we get. Let me kick me out of the screen there. All right, so now we are booted into the system. So let's first see if I can go ahead and change the screen resolution. Just have to remember where the, oh, there it is. Okay. All right, now we're full screen. Okay, so we do support full screen right out of the box. We did get a notification there. There's some updates available, so we can go ahead and click on that. So this is operating system. So it does. Okay, so clicking on it is going to give you what's being installed. It's not really obvious right away, but clicking on it, you can see everything that it's going to install. Well, other than the fact that, oh, there it is, the scroll bar. Okay, so I was trying to scroll there. It wasn't going. So I can see everything that's going to be updated, so that's okay. We'll go ahead and push our updates. We have to put in our super secret password that is definitely not POPOS. And then let's go ahead and let that do its thing. Yeah, I want to kind of minimize that. Get rid of it. That's kind of annoying. I wonder if that's the case for all of the windows. One of the things I don't care for with the GNOME desktop is I really kind of want to, kind of need the ability to minimize windows. I don't have them. That's kind of a criticism I have. I want to get this out of my way. All right. Well, anyway, let's walk through everything else here. First, actually, let's go ahead and have a look at the power options up here. So here we have our settings. This will lock the screen. This, I think, turns on our night mode, and this is our power. Not sure which one this is going to give us. Okay, so this gives us the option to cancel, restart, or power off. Oh, duh, sleep. That was your sleep hibernation. My apologies. Wow, my brain's not functioning, apparently. This will lock the screen. This, of course, pulls up the settings as it's going there. All right, inside your settings, there is no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on this particular computer. We do have some Pop OS specific backgrounds. We have some basic backgrounds as well. So a lot of choices. That's kind of neat. There's a lot of choices, and some of them are novel choices. I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and select that as our wallpaper. That's good. And then we have a lock screen one. Let's do a different one for our lock screen. Notifications, we can turn on notifications. We can turn on lock screen notifications and then select which applications will give us notifications. So we'll determine what will enable search. Your online accounts, your privacy. Again, we turned off. We had the option to disable the location services. Everything else, you can come in here and make changes to that. Sharing, there's our sound. What does the power button do? There's automatic suspend and wireless networking, and then various devices. All right, so that is pretty standard inside of our settings. Let's see if they give us a tweak tool. They do not seem to give us a tweak tool. So one of the things I'd really like to turn on is the I'd like to turn on the ability to have the maximize, minimize buttons. All right. Okay, I guess it's automatically pulling from the IP address, University Park Airport. That's close enough to me, I guess. So there's our weather application there. Terminal, text editor, system. Here's more settings. There's our pop shop. Geary, contacts. Inside of our office, most likely we're going to have LibreOffice 6, which we do. We have 6.0.3.2. So that's about it. It's fairly minimal. We do have enough system tools. Here's the USB flasher that's new. With a scan utility, archive manager, simple image viewers. We don't have any other specific, really no major bloated applications, which is honestly very good. I like that. I don't like that. Let's see what that gives us as far as settings. I don't like my lack of maximize, minimize buttons. Again, we can install an application to fix that. I'm going to wait for this to finish installing, and then we'll go ahead and do that. So here's our extra sources. So you can see that they don't have a lot of bloat inside of your sources. They're just pulling things from System 76's platform, which is good. So it means that there's not just a bunch of stuff going all over the place. Well, you can update unsupported updates, recommended updates, and important security updates. So you can enable or disable those. And then you can choose some other options in there as well. Hopefully this finishes installing soon. So that's really about it. As far as the operating system itself, it does seem to get out of the way a little bit. Once this is done installing, we're going to go ahead and see if we can add the tweak tool and at least give us our buttons. But otherwise, I can probably... I really can't even do that. I have no way to get this thing out of my way. It just kind of sits here. You can do that. Well, no, you can't really do that. See, this is a problem. I need to get stuff out of my way. I'm pretty sure you... let's see. Let's see if you can work off the desktop, so that's good. Again, we're going to need that tweak tool to attempt to install the... put desktop icons on there and things like that. The type of stuff that I like to do. So I'll come back here when this is done and installing updates. All right, now it's installing Gnome Tweaks. All right, so now we should be able to come over here, search for your tweak tool. All right, so turn on the things I like to see on my desktop. Okay, Windows. Okay, so double click toggles maximize. Okay. Okay, there's maximize, there's minimize buttons. And then we can choose our placement. There we are. Now I have maximize and minimize buttons. So I can actually pull up things. I have my desktop icons put on there. So it would kind of be nice maybe, but I mean, that's the one major criticism I have of this is that a person wanting to come over into a Linux system, the one thing you should be able, like the one thing they should be able to do is maximize and minimize Windows. People are going to be looking for that. It's quite important. And so it is... it's nice that we still have the ability to put the tweak tool on here, but it's not enabled by default. And so that's probably my one criticism of the system. They've done and produced a really good system here that it does indeed get out of your way. They do have the extension installed that prevents the hot corner from showing up, which is good because I don't like that thing. And so you can actually get to that with the meta key as well. And there's actually a list of shortcuts that you can get to learn what all the shortcuts are. So if you're using GNOME or you want to learn how to use it, you definitely want to grab that list of shortcuts so you know what all the shortcuts are. But it's not bad. It's as far as GNOME goes, like I said, it's not my favorite desktop, but this one's not bad. I do like the extra sleep on there. Just the one thing that I would probably change is those maximize and minimize buttons, because people are going to be looking for those. And it's good that they have the option, but even if you don't turn those on by default, maybe make a mention of it or put in the tweak tool. And the only reason I say that is because, again, we get into these operating systems where they're trying to develop something that is comfortable for a new user to have. Well, a new user is going to look for minimizing and maximizing Windows. I think that is an important thing. Anything else is pretty standard. Of course, their shop here, I like this better. It kind of has a GNOME feel to it, but I do like it better. We can install, streamer codecs, a lot of installed applications. Well, those are already installed. We have here Telegram, Steam, Spotify, Atom, Slack. So there's a lot of applications here that a lot of people might be looking for. Then down here we have the ability to click on things. So let's see. Of course, GIMP should be in here without a problem. The other one we might want to see is Krita in here, which it is. OBS is not. Simple Screen Recorder should be, because it was added to... Oh, maybe it's not. I thought Simple Screen Recorder was added to the Ubuntu repository. It still might be. One of the downsides of the GUI stores is sometimes not everything is in the store. Whoa. Helps to actually install it though, right? So this is the case what I'm talking about. Simple Screen Recorder was added to the Ubuntu repository, and I think it was 18 is when it was added. So you can easily install it, but oftentimes when you have your GUI stores and your systems up here, oftentimes there's packages missing. So that was, of course, we installed Simple Screen Recorder, which was not in the, it's not in there. Now it's showing up here. Okay, it's showing up here now. That's probably because I had installed it. Duh. So used to the terminals. Whoops. Let's go ahead and reboot that up and type in Simple Screen Recorder. So you can see now that it is installed. So I tried to find this earlier, it wasn't in there, and that's kind of a downside. That's not specific to Pop! OS. I've seen that in the GNOME Software Center is quite notorious for not having everything that is actually installable. That's why it's important to know how to do this kind of stuff from the terminal as well. So overall, I think Pop! OS is pretty good. It's nice. It's clean. I like their setup installation process. It's easy to use. I just wish they would either have the tweak tool installed by default or give us the maximize minimize buttons by default. That's really the biggest thing for me that I'd be really wanting to be looking for if I were a new user coming over to Linux. I hear about System 76 and the great computers that they have, so I buy one. I bring home Pop! OS, and I can't figure out how to minimize a window to get out of my way. That's a little frustrating for a new user. So hopefully this video also showed you how to resolve that. So overall, though, very good. I like the system. Who's it for? Probably not a very, very early computer user, particularly if they've just came from the Windows or the Mac ecosystem. I'd say probably somebody from the Mac ecosystem would be a little bit more comfortable in here than the Windows ecosystem. But regardless, it is it's good for a person looking for another challenge or looking for a different interpretation on an operating system, somebody who's not afraid to learn something new, because GNOME is pretty different. And I don't dislike it because it's different. I mean, that's obviously a big thing that some people say is oh, you just don't like it because it's different. No, it's not because it's different. It's that it doesn't have a workflow that's consistent with the way I personally work. Whereas how a Windows system is set up is perfect for me, and that's why I use Cinnamon as my desktop environment, because it has a consistent workflow with how I work. And I have installed GNOME and tried to use it, and Budgie and a bunch of other ones out there, and I found that if I can set it up like I can set up a Windows system, I'm very highly productive in it. That's just really why I'm not a big fan of the GNOME desktop. But nevertheless, this is a good system. Encourage you to check it out. Definitely, if you have NVIDIA drivers, you've been having issues, give this one a try because it has the ability to install with those NVIDIA drivers. So let me know what you think about Pop! OS in the description. You can help support the channel by checking out the links in the description down below. There's all the regular support links I have down there, and there's some affiliate things down there as well if you are interested in those. I'll put in maybe I'll put in 1 or 2 web hosting companies and 2 VPNs if you're interested in those. You can check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/Tom M. I do have a store with things like coffee cups and water bottles and things like that. Check that out, shop.switchedtolinux.com. So thanks for watching, and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.